So does God hate Christmas? To some, that might seem like one of the craziest things you've ever heard, right? That's an absurd question. But did you know that actually in the Old Testament, there were some Christian holidays that God said, I don't want anything to do with that? So in the Old Testament, Israel had this whole calendar of sacred feasts, right? The Passover is a very famous one, but you also had the Feast of Tabernacles, weeks, trumpets, atonement, etc. These weren't optional. They were commanded by guess who? God himself, right? But then something shocking happens. We see this in Isaiah 1, and listen to this. God says, I am sick of your feasts and festivals. I can't stand your assemblies. Your celebrations, they mean nothing to me. Try to wrap your head around that. That just doesn't seem on the surface to make any sense, right? Imagine hearing God say that about the very holidays and festivals that he commanded you to take part in. Well, you find the answer to why he was saying this, why he felt this way about it in verse 16 and 17. This is what he says. He says, I want you to stop doing wrong, learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed. So in other words, he's saying to his children, you're celebrating me, but you're not living like me. So the holiday itself wasn't the problem. It was the heart of the people behind it, right? It was the heart of the people celebrating it. Amos 5 says something that seems actually to even be more strongly stated. Again, God says, I despise your festivals. I think despise and hate kind of related, right? But let justice roll like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream, he goes on to say. Again, the festival here wasn't sinful. It was the hearts participating in it that were disconnected from their God. So God rejected the tradition because of the hearts of the people, not because the tradition itself was evil. The people were empty. And you would think to yourself, well, that's Old Testament, Jerome. What does the New Testament have to say about any of this? Well, Jesus actually in Matthew 15 says, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. So there's your New Testament version of it. They were doing all the right religious things. They were following tradition, and their calendar was full, and their rituals, I'm telling you, they were flawless, right? But their hearts, their motives, their inward devotion was missing big time. Paul echoes this idea again and again in his epistles to the churches. One of the most popular ones is in Colossians 3:23, where it says, whatever you do it unto the Lord. Not some things, not just religious things, but whatever you do. Meaning, if the heart is right, then the action is holy. He says to the Corinthian church, the Corinthian church in his first epistle, chapter 10, verse 31, he says, whatever you do all to the glory of God. Again, it's not so much about the activity as it is about the heart behind it. So how does all this apply to Christmas? Well, some Christians say Santa offends God. Christmas trees are pagan. Lights are worldly. Stockings are unbiblical. But based on Scripture, I don't think God is sitting in heaven judging our decorations. He's actually judging our heart. God is not evaluating your traditions. He's evaluating your motives. Don't forget that. If your heart is to honor Christ, then a tree, a gift, some lights, family traditions, these things do not pull you away from God. They actually draw you closer to Him because they become expressions of joy, love, generosity. They're a celebration of His Son. But if your heart is far from God, even the most biblical holiday, even if you somehow throw the most pure Christmas, whatever that means, it's all meaningless. It's all empty. Because God has never been moved by the shape of the celebration. He's moved by the condition of the one, the heart of the one celebrating, right? So here's the question I think that God is actually asking his sons and daughters this Christmas. Not do you celebrate with Santa or without, right? I don't think that's it. I don't think it's is your tree decorated too much or not enough, right? I think actually what he's saying is your heart turned towards me? Is your motivation love? Is your worship sincere? Because when you look at Scripture, the pattern is clear, guys. God is not after perfect traditions. Never has been, never will be. He's after surrendered hearts. And if Jesus truly sits at the center of your heart and mind, then joy is safe. Tradition is safe. Celebration is safe. And yes, even Santa is safe because the tradition does not shape the heart. The heart shapes the tradition. So as you celebrate this year, do your best. Don't get caught up in arguments about what other families are doing. On social media, don't take the bait, right? Don't let fear rob your joy, and definitely don't let comparison steal your peace this Christmas. Instead, ask the question God cares about. Is my heart honoring Christ in how I celebrate and how my family celebrates? Because when the heart is right, everything else falls into place.